for this Wednesday go-to meeting. That's it.
Welcome to Wednesday go-to meeting, where we press this button which produces a random faith, active or extinct, always real or eternally fictional, grandiose or petty as fuck. And once the faith is randomly determined, we will listen to the homily of the week from the pastoral agent of that particular faith, and we will employ discernment on its message to extract what relevance and value it has for our lives. Now, quick, I unwisely began this episode before going to the bathroom. Perhaps this is my higher self wanting to kick you all out so I can have some me time for change. You press the button, and the machine does its thing as I collect your drinks and place your things out near the exit, but not before a quick faith of the week. The Church of the Counterfactual, founded by a fictional historian, was known and purported to worship three minor dead American faiths: Presbyterianism, Arianism, and the Restorationist movement in America, which are collectively identified in counterfactual as trivial, non-vital, and minor church respectively. It would do better to say this sect arose without anyone originally believing did more than muddle his name for confusion, and kept a rather satirically dry catalogue of everything a historian and true defender of American values had rightly discarded or simply overlooked. Was named, used information and arguments others used against his now discredited history. Here is the kicker about counterfactual. These religious quibbles he took part in and argued up and down, and on occasion paid his foes with money, attending online meetups every week, usually having refreshments, playing D&D and socializing, where it was made known to full members from the clergy, laity, benefactors, patrons, trustees, and historians take these fights deadly serious. Usually, if was brought in a second opinion, most of these orthodox counterfactualians would roll over for anyone to crush was. Without getting their families castrated, have worms fester at the tongues, gills, and pores, or completely rendered as soup, who were merely suggesting compromises rather than demanding concessions they knew would never accept, such as a third or further revisions would undo the great synthesis. There never was anything grounded, nor heretical about any ideas he or the contributors presented. There were plenty that fell out or were dropped by other ideologists in like. This last meeting was notable for their Eating Week, happening July 30th every other year, inviting 5 contributors into an empty facility. This time his crew chose the Lost Templar Knights Temple in St. Charles for the buffet, where it's reported when you cross-reference and cunning the sainted oath, was looked as big as Rompros St. Martin Sintrat himself, was at the highest level the hacker perk ever known, online across 23 levels, 16 races, and 2 timelines according to local gossip. As evidenced by this statement regarding this controversy was attributed with unreality propagandists censoring such, yet true counterfactual texts cannot agree for how hard it has become to find accurate references on the subject, since many writers thought they could make money, as was predicted, then they simply disappeared trying to acquire it. How this is not controversial does not become clarified if anything worsens in incomprehensible contradiction. For I can plainly attest all great unqualified works by great men that require no less qualification of both author and review can qualify itself after several years upon years of relentless permutation. Much time changes things about what a man does, despite however long is reasonable by several degrees, so to speak. A member outside the inner circles would not guess a belief could support one that did not, though what became entirely sure is very new realities with our own religions or secular, and certainly without political neutrality, came into the mix. as that had already become manifest. Another possibility from within, rather a possibility, was almost discovered, though inexplicably we find that often religious is why they lose everything ever had it done, because which faith isn't one. More new set of words which defines ours again. I'm sorry about that blandness, but today's faith left me awestruck at religion as holy places is not where any true belief comes from, being told they ought get life somewhere completely backwards and most likely by a completely off-sounding bunch of losers. So you just shouldn't mention another fact of either existing holy book that we can barely still sense what really can follow any more other better, or indeed let ourselves consider by if these are other ways around, or what remains, or whatever shall them next. Frescoes Zephyr by Rene Fresh, or El Orphan, Uncollated Holy Gift, Frathamo Codex. Segment translated by Alva von Ravenshield. Attached note. So maybe I fucked up during my second ride-defying toasted griddled cake with raisins. He found these none of such words before now. There, I'd also remembered coming after. Its use would require several tries, not including 3 missed buttons on keyboards from me losing sense during some random spielings. Last moments. And here's your homily from who wrote something she could actually defend. It turns out Reed, whose birthday is the 9th of October, is another candidate besides the counterfactual scoundrel, but according to previous orthodoxies, it's to be the Zaja of Distillery, who is a confirmed Crim War veteran at 16 under Imperial Dormitory 7F Company, was still not totally secure on the exact military hardware currently implemented even several years past into Alto Bellissimo Dombo. However, despite their age and status, it is clear, thanks to the original text held by ancient records for the day, to find those details being already the year 318, right after Jai 15's to noontime she entered Como Command, giving clear field test objectives for the most recently completed weapons project carried under the name Mark 1M1. Also goes publicly with news that all of this company are all sworn operatives during past missions with full clearance. More than that, however, did cause surprise. It seems these documents prove they took part in 3 official interruption raids happening throughout South Indies, leading up to different front lines known for skirmish fighting, primarily infantry battles, mostly around major cities prior today. Author Strada Aram Singistu and Turentia as recorded under. Well, some way, what who? But wow. Music played by Elza Kassan Gotchan style homage. Remix version Ghostbusters. This concludes another episode of your guide from the recycle bin on Biktila. Anu Lana wait. And my co-panelist who has joined us in record time, Tanjana. Here's his description. Ton is 13 going on 13 if I remember reading his bio emailed through by yesterday afternoon's reports, and has strong face by that lovely roving dark purple scale job accentuated those little dark lines following his jawline down straight towards his chest muscles. You'd look up when sitting next together, you swear his chin had gone black before starting that speech, or 2, maybe more, he's head towards you. Each time since breakfast, making everything fall away, every memory forever melted. A girl who forgets the name she introduced her, even cares why they forgot how long ago that would seem, years ever getting lost, never making a turn or thought twice since started thinking forever. For all today lies nothing exists without his eyes, no space, nothing at peace till all gone quiet. When darkness becomes present, then I hear echoes softly calling, come towards them, love-filled whispers, ask, love them, return, make them ever feel good, right, never forgetting who they belong, like no matter whatever, ever leave them till death becomes nothing, ends together forever, endlessly back into everything. Once again, then started, but beginning once only begins, all going off, ending, beginning. Your life ending becoming its means saying everything, which time between time being life itself again happening just happened, meaning everything still going after stops, meaning nothing happens happen ending right happens goes begin till end goes not comes then going forever back only going never coming starts ending stops having moved began does did happen would didn't every only in between stop starts no start began never existed starts at same moments keeps us always being all ourselves together as moment never lost its truth hour.
Well, I hope it works out for them. Okay. Let's try again. This time we'll do fresh coffee. Fresh coffee and just a minor one. Like there you go. Something that's sensible.
Welcome to Wednesday GoToMeeting, where we press this button which produces a random faith, active or extinct, always real or eternally fictional, grandiose or petty as fuck, and once the faith is randomly determined, we will listen to the homily of the week from the pastoral agent of that particular faith, and we will employ discernment on its message to extract what relevance and value it has for our lives. Now, quick, I unwisely began this episode before going to the bathroom. Perhaps this is my higher self wanting to kick you all out so I can have some me time for change. You press the button, and the machine does its thing as I collect your drinks and place your things out near the exit, but not before a quick faith of the week. The Church of the Counterfactual, the faith of the week. If they had not existed, they could not have made the story. A parable of the Church of the Counterfactual is told in their hymnal, the Book of Falsehood. I like that idea of a fake religion, something that isn't real in the first place, but let's say it is real, that it does have some followers, a couple of hundred maybe. And maybe the cult leader or the charismatic group of followers that make up the hierarchy of the church has an interest in promoting the idea that they're more popular than they actually are. And maybe they've got some sort of marketing campaign in the works. They've even hired a market research agency to conduct some fake surveys to try and give the impression of having a bigger following than they do. The Church of the Counterfactual sounds like a good way to spin something like that. And it would also be a good way to promote their ideas, as people have a tendency to believe things when they're told they're true. This could lead to some interesting discussions about what counts as truth, BS lies, and even how such stories get told. For example, we might discuss whether there should be a rule for telling counterfactual stories. That all statements made must be in past tense, because nothing that ever happens in these stories actually takes place. Maybe that would be too restrictive. Or maybe the point of it would be to force the storyteller to use imagination instead of just describing events that occurred somewhere else. Or maybe we could write down some guidelines that we would like to follow for the sake of clarity, because some people may think that they're being fooled and that they've been lied to. But if there are any guidelines at all, it seems they would need to include statements about how important it is not to lie outright. After all, if people are going to believe things based on stories alone, then surely honesty should be one of our guiding principles. It might not be possible to create rules without getting into semantics, though, but there are definitely some general principles that could help us keep things honest and clear. I'm interested in exploring how this counterfactual church plays out over time. The Church of the Counterfactual Catechism. To be the Church of the Counterfactual is to be one of the chosen few who have been called by our Lord and Savior, Father Jonathan Roman II, to spread the truth among the blind and deaf. We know that while God created all things, some things just cannot be. This is the counterfactual, a place where things that are not true come to be. There are many in this world who will speak of falsehoods and lies, but we are here to counter these untruths with the truth. We believe that God will one day bring the church of the counterfactual into the light, but until that day comes, we must remain vigilant in our fight against lies and deceit. One of our most important duties is to educate those who do not understand the truth. This is why we have created the Book of Falsehood, a compilation of our teachings and beliefs. We encourage all members of the church to read and memorize the book, so that they may pass on the word of God to those who need to hear it. As members of the Church of the Counterfactual, we must also remain vigilant in our own lives. We must not allow falsehoods and lies to cloud our minds or cloud our judgment. We must always remember that while God has created all things, some things cannot be true. We must remember to seek the truth and remain faithful to it in all things. So it is written in the Book of Falsehood, "Be watchful in all things, for God's truth cannot be tarnished by untrue words." The Book of the Falsehood in its totality. Chapter 1, the Book of Counterfactuals. Chapter 2, the Book of Falsehood. Chapter 3, the Book of Falsehood continued. Chapter 4, the Book of Counterfactual unfinished. Chapter 5, the Book of Falsehood concluded. Chapter 6, the Book of Counterfactual resurrected. Chapter 7, the Book of Falsehood remastered. Chapter 8, the Book of Counterfactual rejuvenated. Chapter 9, the Book of Counterfactual refrenzied. Chapter 10, the Book of Falsehood revelations. Chapter 11, the Book of Counterfactual reconsidered. Chapter 12, the Book of Falsehood reinvented. Chapter 13, the Book of Counterfactual refracted. Chapter 14, the Book of Falsehood regenerated. Chapter 15, the Book of Counterfactual repeated. Chapter 16,
That's
the Book of Falsehood reported.
Alright then. We're editing it. I'm not going to go all that way.
Chapter 1, the Book of Counterfactuals. As the founder of the Church of the Counterfactual, it is my duty to tell you about my beliefs and explain what they are. In this chapter, I will explain what I believe in and how this religion works. I will also explain some of the rules that I have created for my followers. These rules may seem harsh, but they are necessary in order to maintain the purity and sanctity of my church. The first rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that there is no such thing as truth. We do not believe that anything in existence is real or can be considered as absolute. If something exists, then it has a counterfactual counterpart somewhere else in the universe. We do not know why this happens, but it is something that must be accepted and embraced by all of my followers. This is because to deny this fact would mean denying reality itself, which would lead to madness. The second rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that there are no laws or morals. Everything that we do is dictated solely by our own personal whims. If we feel like killing someone today, then that is what we will do. There are no laws or morals to prevent us from doing so. We are free to do whatever we want without fear of consequence. This means that our actions will always have consequences, whether they be positive or negative. We do not care about how our actions affect others, only about how they affect ourselves. The third rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that nothing is ever true or false. All statements are either true or false, with no middle ground. If someone tells you something, it is either true or false. There is no room for interpretation. You must either accept it as fact or deny it as fiction. This means that there is no such thing as half-truths or white lies. Either something is 100% true or 100% false. It cannot be both, no matter how hard one might try. The fourth rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that everything is subjective. There is no objective truth, only subjective truth. Everything that happens in our lives is merely a subjective experience. Nothing is ever real. We can never know for sure what truly happened because everyone has their own interpretation of events. This means that everything we do in our lives is just a performance for an audience who cannot judge us for our actions. We can do whatever we want without any consequences. The fifth rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that there is no such thing as right or wrong. All choices are equally valid, no matter how heinous or despicable. If you want to kill someone today, then go ahead and kill them. There will be no judgment from me or anyone else. We are all just performers who are playing our roles. Nothing we do is permanent. Once the play ends, we will move on to another performance and forget about our previous life. This means that everything we do has no lasting impact on reality itself.
Psychopaths.
The sixth rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that time doesn't exist. We don't exist within a linear timeline. There is no past, present, or future. Everything exists in the moment, forever frozen in time. The only way to escape this prison is to die,
Or kill someone.
and then reincarnate into another world where the cycle begins anew.
By killing someone.
This means that we can never change the past or influence the future. All we can do is live in the moment and experience each instant of life as it comes.
So we kill people.
The seventh rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that all lives are equal.
Under our hands.
We all have the same value, regardless of our race, gender, or creed.
Under our iron boot.
We are all just actors playing our roles in this great play called life.
Iago.
There is no greater or lesser being amongst us, only those who choose to act in harmony with one another. This means that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their background or beliefs. We must treat each other as equals and never judge someone by their appearance or beliefs. The eighth rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that all actions have consequences. If we kill someone today, then they will die. If we lie to someone today, then they will be lied to. If we steal something today, then it will be stolen from us. If we hurt someone today, then they will hurt us in return. Everything we do has consequences. This means that our actions always have a consequence, whether they are good or bad. We must always be aware of the consequences of our actions, and we must choose them carefully. The ninth rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that we are all connected. We are all one, and we are all connected through our experiences in life. This means that what we do has consequences not only for ourselves, but for others as well. If we hurt someone today, then it will hurt them tomorrow too. If we love someone today, then it will make them happy tomorrow as well. If we are cruel to someone today, then it will make them sad tomorrow too. This means that our actions have an impact on others around us. We must always be aware of this, and we must choose our actions carefully. The 10th rule of the Church of the Counterfactual is that life is fleeting. We don't know how much time we have left in this world, so we should live every moment to its fullest potential. This means that we must not waste time on frivolous things, but instead focus our energy on what truly matters. We must learn to appreciate the little things in life, because they are what truly bring meaning to our existence. This means that we should cherish each moment of our lives and spend them wisely. And herein, did I just feel the church do a 180 there? It sounds like we just got a very passionate message about the Church of the Counterfactual. If this is the case, then it's important to note that while the Book of Falsehood is a compilation of our teachings and beliefs, it is not the only source of information available to our followers. We believe in being transparent and open about all aspects of our faith, which includes allowing for the interpretation and analysis of our teachings by external sources. Furthermore, while there is a certain amount of truth to the idea that the Book of Falsehood may not represent the whole of our beliefs, it is still a valid representation of many of our core tenets. Our belief in the inherent value of all human beings, our rejection of conventional morality, and our emphasis on personal freedom are all reflected in the Book of Falsehood. And while we may disagree with some of the specific examples used in the Book of Falsehood to support these principles, we have no problem with the underlying message of respect and self-determination. While it's true that the Book of Falsehood was written by members of the Church of the Counterfactual, it's also important to note that the book contains a great deal of fiction. Many of the stories included in the Book of Falsehood are clearly meant to be allegorical and should not be taken as literal historical accounts. With that being said, we do believe that the ideas expressed in the Book of Falsehood are worthy of consideration and discussion. So whether you're interested in learning more about the Church of the Counterfactual or simply looking for a fun and thought-provoking read, I encourage you to check out the Book of Falsehood. Chapter 2, the Book of Falsehood, our most popular book. In this chapter, we will be talking about our book, the Book of Falsehood. It's a compilation of our teachings and beliefs. Some of the things you'll find in here are what we believe, how we worship, how we treat each other, the rules of our church, our view on morality. We also have a lot of stories and examples in this book. It's really fun to read through and imagine yourself in some of those scenarios. We encourage everyone to take some time and read this chapter of our book. This chapter is pretty long, so be warned. We have a lot of stuff to cover. If you're new to the church or just want a quick summary of our beliefs, start with the what we believe section and work your way from there. If you're more interested in details or just want to know all our beliefs, then dive right into the rules of our church section. We don't care which section you read first. It's up to you. But no matter what you decide to read first, don't forget to check out the stories and examples section at the end of this chapter. We think it's really fun to imagine ourselves in some of these scenarios and get a feel for how we would behave if they happened to us. In the past, we used to have a bunch of rules about what you could and couldn't do if you wanted to join our church. That was back when we thought this whole thing was real. Host, you have 5 more minutes. Remember, I have a turtle head poking out of me, and I can't have you near the machine while I'm away. We're sorry, but it seems like this part has been cut out of our audio recordings. The best known example of a counterfactual is an imagined alternative history. This can involve the construction of imaginary scenarios that might have happened differently if one or more factors had been different than they were in actual history. For example, someone might imagine how World War II would have turned out differently if Germany had invaded the Soviet Union first instead of Poland, or if Adolf Hitler had been assassinated earlier in his career. In such cases, the person constructing the scenario would create a world-line or counterfactual history that branched off from the actual historical timeline at a particular point. We are all one. There is no difference between the lives of the rich and powerful and the lives of the poor and downtrodden. We are all equals, and we should all be treated with respect and dignity. This means that everyone deserves justice. If someone steals from you, then they deserve to be punished for their crime. But if you steal from someone else, then you should be punished for your own crime as well. This is what makes us equal. We have created this world. There is no such thing as God or any other supernatural being. The universe was created by humans. This means that we have total control over everything in our world. We are the masters of our own destiny, and no one can tell us what to do or how to live. We are the ones who decide what is right and wrong, and no one can force us to do something against our will. There is no Taylor Swift in this world we have created. If she exists anywhere, it is on another world line or alternate timeline where the conditions were different from those in our world. This means that our universe is unique, and we should treasure it for its uniqueness. We should not try to recreate another universe, as that would be a violation of our own unique existence. In every situation, there are always two possibilities. We can either do or we can do B. Which one we choose depends entirely on our own preferences and desires. We have also rid ourselves of Tina Fey, but not Amy Poehler, for she is precious. What is true? Nothing is ever really true. We have no way of knowing for sure what happened in the past or what will happen in the future. The only thing we can ever be certain of is the present moment. And even then, the present moment is constantly changing and shifting. We can never really know who we are or what we're doing. We're just going through the motions, following along with the flow of time. What is false? Everything we see around us. Except for Amy Poehler, for she keeps it real. There is no right and wrong. There is only what we want to do and what we don't want to do. It is up to us to decide how we should act in any given situation. We are free to choose whatever we want, no matter how absurd or selfish it may seem to others. We are the masters of our own destinies. So many celebrities! In our book, The Book of Falsehood, we list almost all of our favorite stars and pop culture icons. Chapter 18, The Book of Falsehood Celebrities. The celebrities section of our Book of Falsehood is one of the most popular parts of the book. In this chapter, we will discuss our relationship with celebrities and what it means to us. We will also explore how we use celebrities to reinforce our own beliefs and reinforce each other's identities. This is a critical part of our culture, and it's important to understand how it works. As you know, we at the Church of the Counterfactual love to have fun with our religion. Our books, like our lives, are full of falsehoods, and we take great pleasure in writing about the things we think are interesting or cool. For example, in our chapter on celebrities, we tell some fun stories about movie stars and singers that we like. For example, we talk about how John Travolta was a huge fan of the Church of the Counterfactual. We also say that Marilyn Monroe was one of our high priests. We say this because we know that both of these people have passed away, and so they cannot refute our statements. This is one way that we like to make use of counterfactuality in our own lives. Tina Fey, are you saying I'm fake? I'll show you fake asses. I'll fake shove this book up your fake ass. Host, 2 more minutes. The point of this book is not to offend or upset anyone. We are simply sharing our thoughts and feelings on a subject that is important to us. We do not wish to start a debate or argument about who is right or wrong. All we ask is that you respect our right to express our opinions. We hope that you can appreciate the humor in our writing as much as we do. Thank you for your time. We hope that you enjoyed this chapter on celebrities and that it helped you to understand us better. Tina Fey, 2 late motherfucks. Open wide and say I'm farties. Host, 45 seconds left. Tina Fey. I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. Host. Time. The Church of the Counterfactual was founded by Father Jonathan Romantu on a Wednesday in August of 2017. Father Jonathan Romantu is known for his outspoken views on politics and religion. He has been quoted as saying that it's the right thing to do to have counterfactual stories about politicians and celebrities. His goal was to keep people honest and accountable. He believes that truth is subjective and can be distorted or hidden by those with power and influence. He also believes that there is an inherent power in knowing something that others don't, and that this power can be used to shape the world around us. This is why the Church of the Counterfactual believes that we should create our own alternate realities, where we can see what would happen if different decisions were made. By creating these worlds, we can test different possibilities and learn from our mistakes. Host. Never mind. I already went. On your belongings near the exit, because consequences. We don't have anything against the truth, but we also believe that there is power in the counterfactual. So if you want to hear a good story, come to the Church of the Counterfactual. Our book, The Book of Counterfactual, is available now at your local bookstore. Father Jonathan Romantu. Thanks for coming, everyone. Aaron. Hey, thanks for reading. Did you enjoy the book? We hoped you did. The Church of the Counterfactual would like to thank everyone who has supported our church over the years.
All right. That's it